According to the receipts provided, Blake Lively intended from the beginning to steal It Ends With Us from Justin Baldoni.
Like frittata?
What is happening? No, I feel like I'm in a porno. What is this? I did not know you could cook.
Let me explain. Hollywood is a glittering world where power moves happen behind closed doors, and careers are made or broken in the editing bay. A fascinating story of ambition, strategy, and calculated risks has been unfolding right under our noses. What you're about to realize, this isn't just another Hollywood tale, it's a masterclass in how two of the industry's smartest players orchestrated one of the most brilliant career transitions we've ever seen. The target? It Ends With Us, the highly anticipated adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. The players? Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood's power couple, who executed a plan so intricate, so perfectly timed, that nobody saw it coming until it was too late. But we're about to blow this whole operation wide open. Before we dive into Blake's masterful execution, we need to understand the blueprint she was working from, her husband Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool strategy. Back in 2016, Reynolds pulled off one of the most impressive Hollywood power moves of the decade. Here's what most people don't know. Reynolds deliberately took a measly $2 million for Deadpool, a fraction of his usual fee. Why? Because he wasn't just thinking about one movie, he was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. That sacrifice led to Reynolds gaining unprecedented creative control, a producer credit on Deadpool 2, and a massive back-end deal that netted him $40 million in profit sharing on top of a $20 million base salary. But the real genius? He proved that taking a pay cut early could lead to empire building later. Here's what to understand. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die, Cersei Lannister once said. And in this real-life Hollywood game, Blake Lively wasn't just playing, she was channeling her inner Daenerys Targaryen, complete with dragons of her own. But unlike the mother of dragons, Blake's power moves were happening in broad daylight, disguised as standard Hollywood negotiations. Picture this. Justin Baldoni, an actor turned director with dreams of making it big, finally secures the rights to adapt It Ends With Us. He's got $25 million of his own money on the line, nearly his entire net worth of $4 million plus additional funding, and a distribution deal with Sony. He thinks he's about to make his directorial dreams come true. Little does he know, he's about to become a pawn in a much bigger game. Blake's opening move was brilliant in its simplicity. She signed on as just an actress for a relatively modest $3 million. In Hollywood terms, this was practically working for exposure. But here's what makes this move so clever. While everyone was focused on the salary, Blake quietly negotiated an executive producer credit. It seemed like a vanity title at the time. After all, plenty of A-list actors get producer credits these days. But this wasn't about ego. It was about establishing a foothold. Think about it. $3 million for Blake Lively, when Justin Baldoni himself was only taking $320,000, the disparity alone should have raised red flags. But everyone was too busy celebrating landing a star of her caliber to notice the first piece of the puzzle falling into place. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Blake didn't just wait for any moment to start making demands. She waited until exactly 50% of the budget was spent. Why? Because in film production, this is the point of no return. The money's been spent, contracts are signed, and replacing your star becomes virtually impossible. But Blake didn't just push for small changes. She went for the jugular of any film production, the wardrobe budget. After the costume department had already spent their entire budget and finalized every outfit, Blake demanded complete wardrobe changes. This wasn't just about clothes. It was about establishing dominance over the production. The genius part? She insisted on having the entire wardrobe delivered to her and Ryan's home for fittings. Every delivery, every return, every new piece of clothing ate into the already stretched budget. Justin Baldoni, watching his $25 million investment slowly bleed out, found himself in an impossible position: stand his ground and risk losing his star, or give in and lose control of his own production. In a text message that would later prove prophetic, Blake referred to herself as Khaleesi and called Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift her dragons. This wasn't just clever wordplay, it was a declaration of power. With a combined net worth in the hundreds of millions and unprecedented industry influence, this trio was about to show exactly why they were Hollywood's most formidable alliance. Ryan Reynolds, fresh off his Deadpool success and known for his script doctoring abilities, began rewriting dialogue from their home, without consulting Justin or the original screenwriter. But the real power move came when Blake invited Justin to their house to discuss these changes. What Justin walked into wasn't a meeting, it was an ambush. Picture the scene. Justin arrives, probably expecting a casual discussion about script changes. Instead, he finds himself faced with not just Blake and Ryan, but Taylor Swift herself, three of Hollywood's biggest stars, all unified in praising Blake's vision for the film. How do you say no to that kind of star power? When the writers' and actors' strikes hit Hollywood, most productions saw it as a crisis. Blake saw it as an opportunity. With production halted, she presented a list of 17 non-negotiable demands for her return. This wasn't just about creative control anymore, this was about reshaping the entire power structure of the production. Remember, Sony was involved now, and they saw Blake's star power as crucial to the film's success. Justin, already over budget and bleeding personal finances, couldn't afford to lose her. The strikes had given Blake the perfect cover for what industry insiders call a soft power takeover. Most actors never set foot in the editing bay during the director's protected editing period. It's sacred ground in filmmaking, where the director's vision finally comes to life. But Blake didn't just visit the editing bay, she orchestrated a complete takeover. What started as a 2-day access request somehow stretched into 10 days. During this time, Blake and Ryan, along with editors they personally brought in, including one from the Deadpool team, created their own cut of the film. This wasn't just about creative differences, this was about establishing a competing vision for the entire project. Even more fascinating, the involvement of Taylor Swift went beyond moral support. When Blake and Ryan wanted the original composer replaced, Taylor's alleged personal history with him provided the perfect pretext. Within days, he was replaced by someone from Ryan's Deadpool team. The message was clear. This wasn't just about one movie anymore. This was about building an empire. Now we arrive at the real endgame, Blake's pursuit of a Producers Guild of America, PGA mark. This wasn't just about getting her name in the credits. A PGA mark is Hollywood's golden ticket to legitimate producing power. To qualify, a producer needs to be heavily involved in development, hiring, post-production, and marketing. Look familiar? Every demand Blake made suddenly appears in a new light. The script changes, development involvement, the new editors, key personnel decisions, the extended editing bay time, post-production supervision. Even Taylor Swift's song My Tears Ricochet being added to a pivotal scene wasn't just about the music. It was about checking another box on the PGA requirements list. But here's the twist that changes everything. It Ends With Us was never the end goal. Blake and Ryan weren't just trying to take over one movie, they were positioning themselves to control Colleen Hoover's entire literary empire on screen. With Hoover's massive success and multiple books ripe for adaptation, whoever controls the first successful adaptation would have the inside track on everything that follows. This explains why Colleen Hoover remained supportive of Blake despite the controversy, and why she launched Heartbones Entertainment. It wasn't just about one book adaptation, it was about creating a production powerhouse that could rival the biggest players in Hollywood. In an ironic twist that wouldn't be out of place in a Hollywood script, Blake's strategic takeover started to mirror her Game of Thrones metaphor a bit too closely. Just as Daenerys Targaryen's ambition eventually led to her downfall at the hands of Jon Snow and his man Bun, Blake's aggressive moves might have overplayed her hand. Justin Baldoni, with his similar man bun, stood as a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous opponents are the ones you underestimate. What Blake and Ryan attempted here wasn't just a takeover. It was a masterclass in Hollywood power dynamics. They understood that in an industry built on relationships and perception, sometimes the biggest moves happen in plain sight. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, it's already too late. The question isn't whether Blake and Ryan's strategy was brilliant. It undoubtedly was. The question is whether they pushed too far, too fast. In their quest to build an empire, did they risk becoming the very thing they once fought against in their own careers? Only time will tell. But one thing's for certain, Hollywood will never look at executive producer credits the same way again. Sometimes, the most dangerous moves in Hollywood aren't the ones you see coming. They're the ones hiding behind a humble title and a $3 million paycheck. As It Ends With Us moves toward its release, the industry watches with bated breath. Will Blake's version of the film see the light of day? Will Justin maintain his creative vision? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of book-to-film adaptations and star power in Hollywood? One thing's certain, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have rewritten the Hollywood playbook. Whether their gambit pays off or not, they've shown that in the modern entertainment industry, the real power moves happen long before the cameras start rolling. The game has changed, and they're the ones who changed it. Remember, in Hollywood, just like in Game of Thrones, it's not about who has the power, it's about who knows how to use it. And sometimes, the most powerful moves are the ones nobody sees coming until it's too late.